And we got the draft done already. I love SSG's first ban. Ulrich Wildcard is just too flexible with that pick, following with the Jumong Croak C pick.
Sorry, I didn't mean to like laugh. I broke the fourth wall there for a second. Bloom, Proster, and Averse all going in chat and saying that Wildcard is gonna win.
Well, at least they're realistic, you know?
Yeah, at least they're... But yeah, Space Station Gaming having the advantage here in terms of who people think will win.
In the meantime, Proster gets a pretty high damage Croak ulti caught on people with no iframes available. He turns on that R and just beats Jeter to death. Jeter does not have a lot of health available. Ninja's trying to channel that ulti, but eats a huge amount of damage during it.
Yeah, he just kind of gets bodied there, and I guess a lot of our questions about the Croak have been answered. It made a lot of sense seeing the Croak pick there with how it played into the backline of the Jumong plus Lucy. They couldn't really do anything to like hold him down a lot, and even if the burst of damage is mitigated by things like Barrier and War Stomp, it ends up being fine simply because like the damage and the constant pressure is too much for them to handle.
Yeah, there's definitely a problem because Rare Peep, you know, he wants to be a little bit more aggressive to stuff the Jumong in particular, to stop Averse from just laying into your teammates constantly. But there's really, frankly, just not too much the Lucy Jumong backline of Wildcard is going to be able to do to shove the Croak off. He's just got too many iframes. He's just too annoying to deal with.
Yes, we will see how it looks moving into round 2. Averse just throwing at M1s. Throwing M1s at Rare Peep. Bloom with a nice clarity motion to remove the Bulwark. And Proster, he hasn't had quite nearly as good a start as he did last game.
Yeah, it's not looking as good. They've taken a lot higher priority in denying him here. He's going to try and go in. Ninja's taking a decent chunk of damage, and he hits his spaces with the follow-up, the Petrify with the EX M2 of Jumong. Hurts really bad, and Wildcard are going to claim the first orb.
Yeah, Wildcard get this orb, and it's absolutely massive. The ultimate going to come out from Rare Peep, but he absolutely whiffs Finlevs this one. Not going to find any damage. He gets some green shards, but wow, look at Rare Peep's HP. It's so low.
Blue panics across the map from Jeter, allowing Ninjas to set up. The Incap is unfortunately broken by the Rain of Arrows, the classic Jumong Paco interaction. As Averse M1s himself. Rare Peep gets caught, though, by the goo with the M2.
Yep, he eats that goo damage and then dies to a panic blast from Bloom. And on the other side, Proster, he manages to find the double kill with only 6 HP left. And, you know, SSG looking incredibly strong so far in this, striking back from their a bit of a slump at the end of Season 2.
Yeah, they're pushing very, very hard. And Proster has been managing his health pretty effectively. There's also something interesting here where historically I've seen a lot of Crooks not terribly willing to use their ulti very often.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that not a lot of Crooks like to invest their energy usage in. I'm speaking mainly of Rare Peep, who's the main Crook player in NA that we've seen recently.
Yeah.
Actually flex to that hero. But Proster loves using the ulti just to try and force cooldowns, get that positioning advantage, force the entire enemy team back to make space for Averse and Bloom.
He's all about that F press. We saw it there at the end, found quite a lot of damage with it. The Clarity Potion being committed up top to Proster. Rare Peep trying to zone out the Frog a little bit. Spaces to get the Black Arrow out of Averse, but not too much is going to come out of it simply because Bloom with that clutch Panic Blast keeps him off. A beautiful panic from Jeter. Both of these Lucy's playing amazingly. However, this time favors Wildcard as they get the first orb.
Yeah, this is looking much better for Wildcard. They're holding on to a lot of HP. Double Incap from Rare Peep, able to set up on Bloom as well. Nice clarity, but of course is forced to use Prowl, which is not good. Bulwark not used for any advantage either. Proster's just going to hammer away at him with the R. That's the other thing, man. When you turn on that R with Croak, you're just base M1s hit really, really hard. The goo is going to divide them up a little bit and allow SSG to confirm the sword zone.
Yeah, SSG gets the second orb, but the HP pools are still relatively similar. All of the HP from SSG, though, is missing from Proster, which is not what you want to have happen. If this Frog gets stepped on, he might just Croak. Not too much HP to work with. He's got that Venom Wind. He's going to use it on the petrified target, but the roll is available. But he mistimes it, Jeter. You can't do that, man. You're better than that.
Yeah, an uncharacteristic miss from Jeter here as he's going to try and fend Proster off. Proster just doesn't have a whole lot of HP to work with, which is going to make things really dangerous for the rest of the game. And Averse knows it. You see how he's pushing up here, just trying to create space. Reads the Rare Peep forward, doesn't take one of his own M1s to face, luckily, and he's holding the ultimate. I would expect to see Averse maybe channel the ultimate on the orb, but he's got to be scared of that Bulwark from Rare Peep. Rare Peep has now used Stomp, so they're going to want to float to confirm the sword. They should have it locked down, especially with Ninja's panicked away.
Yeah, I love that Rain of Arrows, too.
And they miss it. Wildcard snags it.
I thought for sure SSG would get that simply because of how... Oh, God, the Dragon Slam onto Proster. I'm trying to talk about Averse, and then Proster just gets ruined. This isn't over just yet, though, Crooks. That Bulwark is going to help Rare Peep get out of the Rain of Arrows. Things still could go in SSG's favor. Sudden Death is coming in, but with no more energy to work with, I'm not too sure the Lucy's going to be able to do anything, and Averse slays himself. You can't do that, man. Can't shoot that ultimate into the Bulwark.
Yeah, that was kind of an inexcusable series of events there for SSG. Pretty unfortunate. Missing the orb that should have been a definite confirm to less than 5 HP, I think. And then Proster getting caught against the wall by the well-timed Ninja's ulti, just pinning the Croak down. He couldn't do anything to get out of there. So a nice kill confirmed by Wildcard.
Yeah, Proster had a much harder time that last round, being handled much better by Jeter and Ninjas on the backline. We'll see if this round is any different, or if Ninjas and Jeter are once again able to handle the pressure of the Croak. This is, of course, round 4 in the first game of our upper bracket finals. Proster, okay, getting a huge chunk out of Ninja's true HP relative to how far we are into the round. Doing a lot already is this Croak.
Yeah, nice bulwark by Rarepy to reflect the M2 into Averse. He's taking quite a bit of damage. Both Chumonks have been chunked pretty substantially. Jeter dancing in and out of rain of arrows right now as SSG are going to confirm the first orb. Proster positioning around, forcing the clarity usage from Jeter as well. Rarepy got to be a little bit careful. He's used the bulwark. He's going to dive in. He's used the stomp as well. It's definitely an opportunity to open up on him, but they're not able to get too much done because Ninjas is creating a lot of space on top.
He does create a bit of space, but the Panic Flask does land on him. Ninjas, on the other side of the fight, takes a bit of damage off of that stun, but Jeter is the real story here. His HP pool getting next to, or so incredibly low, but Wildcard, they get the orb, and now Jeter, he's sitting on an ultimate, Crooks.
Yeah, they gotta watch these orbs for the side of SSG. These should be just no-nonsense confirms for them. Jeter's gonna throw the Panic Flask, misses it. Unfortunately, Averse is also gonna miss the EXM2 that would have otherwise been his death.
There's no roll.
Ninja's done early, and Jeter's dead.
Yep. Beautiful, usage of abilities there, the Venom Wind and the M2 from Jumong, as well as the Lucy Goo, everything being thrown onto Jeter when he had no cooldowns left for himself. Ninja's now just being ran at by Proster's Croak, and it's looking like the red team, SSG, gonna go up 3-1.
Yeah, the Croak has really been taking off in rounds where Proster is able to get in and deal a little bit of early damage, blow some early cooldowns. It makes it very difficult for Ninjas to sort of move up.
Yeah,
you know, as Jumong, he's an absolute powerhouse, and he's really sort of the true hyper carry of Battle right now. You know, is that if you leave him alone, he contributes more damage than any other hero in the game. The problem is, of course, is that you want his whole suite of escapes available for when people go on you, because you don't have a whole lot of inherent tools to stop that from happening.
Right.
And Croak just makes it so difficult. He's so slippery and so difficult to pin down. So Proster just being able to blow early cooldowns, even blowing an early space before Ninjas has 3 stacks to recast it, can be huge as far as taking the first orb goes.
Ninjas throwing out that M2, the barrier going to be given to Proster to enable him to play aggressive. Barrier and bulwark stack for Rarepy. That's not an ideal usage of cooldowns, but it's looking like it's going to turn out okay. Nice in-cap here onto Bloom. Has to play a little bit safe. Orb going to be taken by Wildcard, but still relatively even in terms of the HP pools. The ultimate is available on Ninjas, but I'm not sure how impactful the Dragon Slayer is going to be against the team of SSG. Beautiful Petrify from Bloom, but it is answered with Jeter's own Panic, and now we have a Goo on board. Wildcard, they need to make something happen with this Goo. The roll has been used.
Rolled. He's too far away, though.
Yeah, Jeter, that cast range is not nearly far enough, but the Goo finally comes out. There's no barrier. Bloom takes a little bit of damage from it, and on the other side, the Venom Wind onto Jeter, going to deal so much damage. One of these teams needs to find a kill on the Lucy ASAP. Averse is going to be the first to go down, and Rarepy going to keep up his aggression. Proster, he couldn't get that trade quickly enough, and it ended up being Wildcard's round because of it.
Yeah, a rough round there. It looked pretty advantageous for SSG for a while, but then Bloom rolled all of a sudden and left him pretty open, so he would have to stand far back. And Averse, closer up at top, I didn't quite see what happened, but it looked like he took a pretty unadvantageous trade against Rarepy and lost a pretty decent chunk of his HP while Bloom couldn't be bothered to heal him.
I mean, we saw it yesterday. Sometimes the Bako just wins the 1v2.
Yep.
Or saw it earlier today, not yesterday.
Yep.
And Rarepy, he just won that 1v2. He just dominated both Averse and Bloom, first finding the kill on Averse and then immediately chasing down Bloom after. And it was this like kind of a base race kind of scenario where both supports were being just ran at. Jeter being ran at by Proster, and on the other side, Bloom being ran at by Rarepy. Rarepy just won it that round.
Rough start for Proster here. He's taking quite a bit of damage on the way in. Gonna try and hit that other space. Doesn't manage to get it and gets nailed by a nicely timed space.
This round's over, dude.
Oh, he's trying to go. Nice CC on Rarepy. The Lucy Barrier is gonna try and help him out, but the following rain of arrows is just gonna push the entire side of Wildcard back. This first orb should be SSG's.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Oh, Ninjas.
Oh my god.
Ninja stealing that with the M2. I say this round's over already mostly as a joke. It's looking like SSG is falling behind a little bit. You talked about Proster early on, and he's getting chunked pretty hard. That Prowl going to deal so much damage thanks to the Seeker's Mark, and now Proster, he doesn't have many cooldowns to work with.
Really bad.
Bloom's doing no better, Crooks. Look at this positioning. Wildcard gets this orb for free. Oh, as I said that, I thought Averse was going to steal it. They find a stray M2 from Ninjas onto Proster. Get that wall stun. The Bulwark going to reflect the M2 of Averse too, and wow, Rarepy, he looks choppy in the first couple rounds, but he looks really good in these last two.
Yeah, he's on now. Did you see that slight little turn by him to eat Proster into the wall wall there to stun him so his teammates could confirm him. It's stuff like that that you admire in really good melee players. It's not only knowing how to fight against the enemy backline, which is what you spend a majority of your time doing, but also knowing the exact moment when you can turn and help your allies.
Yeah, definitely.
And Rare Peep has always had a great sense of that in the way that he not only controls the backline, but turns around to use key abilities on Proster to lock him down and confirm these kills. A lot of the time, when they manage to pin down the Frog in this game so far, it's been off the back of a clutch stun or a clutch CC by Rare Peep.
Round 7, we're tied 3-3. Ninjas. Jumong's mirroring each other here. Ninja's going to step forward, try to find some damage onto Averse. He now backs up to help out Jeter. Proster applying a lot of pressure. He's now got that invis, and this is going to chunk down Rare Peep pretty hard. The rain of arrows even being contributed. Lots of damage onto this Baco Crooks.
He's having a very rough time. Ninjas has bought him a decent amount of HP, though, dueling against Averse and Bloom, but they managed to heal most of that back, and SSG are going to get an orb that they definitely should have gotten, so that's pretty good. Averse hits an EXM2. Proster's going to go in again. He has lots of health to play with this Croak this time. He's actually going to get pushed out of 2 pretty high damage and high value CC abilities here. The stun with the M2 follow-up. That's nice.
Yeah, Rare Peep has been getting bodied this round. His movements have not found any successful cooldown trades, and he's not gotten any damage on anybody. A second orb in a row goes to SSG as well. Venom wins. Gonna force out the Prowl. The barriers used on Rare Peep as well. This goo needs to be huge, but I don't think that's enough, Crooks.
Yeah, it would be good if you were ahead to split the team like that, but you're too far behind. You needed damage with that goo, and that's not what he got. Ninja's not gonna iframe the last hit of that EXM2. I think that's smart. Just firing off the EX1's attempting to do a little bit of AoE damage, but he has no HP to play with at all. He's got to be so careful. He's not getting healed by Jeter. He's in a lot of trouble right now. Averse looking for him here. Jeter running from the EXM2 and Wildcard are just being pushed into the base right now. There's no Prowl on Jumong. Proster smells blood.
Yeah, this does not look good. Popping over the wall is Croak, finding a decent amount of damage and forcing out the Bulwark.
Oh, the double root. That was gross.
Open season. Yeah. Hunting on Wildcard right now. SSG going to be able to find these kills and go up 4-3 in this first game. The Croak pick. Very hot and cold in this round. It was very hot.
Yeah, it seems like it's all about the early start, and I think Proster has started understanding a lot of what you'll see him do is very positioning oriented. This map in particular is very interesting. Skyring Knight, it has these 4 diagonal walls, and you'll see Proster playing around the walls quite a lot, using them to manipulate line of sight against both the Jumong and the Baco, to make them question about when he's going to go in, and then using the Frog Leap on his space to hop the wall to get an advantage on them to be able to enter the fight without having to camouflage, and then using camouflage to follow up on cooldowns that are used. It's very, very smart play, but it relies pretty heavily on having a good start.
Rare Peep getting in there, being very disruptive. So much damage done to Ninjas, but a very good Panic Flask from Jeter. Going to slow the roll of the Croak a little bit. Stabilizing, backing up towards their spawner. Jeter and Ninjas not wanting to be opened up on by Proster, and Proster's simple existence doing a lot just for this potential game 1 round.
Yeah, but it's not looking too bad for SSG right now, as Averse has all the gas right now. He's able to push forward really hard. Ninjas has an energy advantage, but it doesn't really matter. He's not going to be looking to fire the end. The nice EXM2 chunks Averse really hard, though. Rare Peep has used the Bulwark, and Proster's going to move forward. He has that Croak ulti. You got to think he'll be using it now.
Yep. Beautiful waiting out the cooldown. Unfortunately, it doesn't hit Jeter, but Ninja's taking so much damage from it, and Averse secures the orb. The goo from Jeter gets no value. The Clarity Potion not going to do enough to push Bloom back in it. Finally has the roll, but he rolls right into a Croak, and it's looking like game 1 is going to go to SSG.
Yep, Ninjas might be able to take down Proster here. Oh, he just barely iframes it with the space, and he's not going to be able to confirm a kill. The rest of SSG is alive, and you're right. This game 1 is going to be over with a 5-3 SSG.
This Croak pick, we were questioning it a little bit, being unsure of how successful it would be. It looked at times very shaky and at times very dominant. I think the draft in terms of the Jumong on Wildcard kind of like led to this a little bit.
Yeah.
Like the Croak kind of sometimes just got in the back line, was able to do whatever he wanted, and the Jumong had a really hard time as a result.
Yep, I absolutely agree. I think the Jumong on Wildcard, like it was interesting. Rare Peep created so much space some rounds. It's very, very difficult to talk about a game like that. I feel like it was so back and forth. It really could have gone either way in a lot of the rounds because the Croak is so start dependent, right? Baco is a hero where it feels like he can turn the game in big ways, either with a big Bulwark stun against a melee hero that's trying to get momentum, or just like creating space for your teammates in a really big way. But it feels like Croak needs to start off good, get like a few good hits in on Jumong, get some energy building, and then go for an in-cap and a stun combo. Just look to abuse them really hard. So in rounds where Proster was able to get an advantage, it really turned out as quite a nice pick. But we saw that it does have some potential weaknesses, and I think maybe if Wildcard are looking to pick a hero other than Jumong for their range slot, SSG might be in a little bit of trouble with a Croak pick.
Yeah, I think there are a couple things that could be changed. I think the Jumong pick could change. I think another solution is just bringing in a Paloma instead of a Lucy.
Yeah.
I think the Paloma Jumong backline is pretty much untouchable in as far as Croak's aggression, simply because the damage that he does is pretty easily healed up by the Paloma just heal botting her ally, and also the panic that Paloma brings to the table is way easier than Panic Flask to hit on a Croak that's always moving around.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you just said there is pretty key, is the panic, the AoE panic is instant. So you don't have an opportunity to iframe with one of Croak's billion iframes. You know, it's just the immediate interrupt if you manage to read it.
There's also just the flow of Croak that you can read sometimes. Like, you can tell when he's trying to do what. He has certain timers, like on Frog Leap, there's a recast time that you have to be very aware of. So the mix-up is very difficult for the Croak to deal with, because he really wants to cast that space again. You really want to jump twice if you're a frog. You don't want to get shut out of your first or your second jump and then like kind of fall behind on cooldown rotations as a result. So the panic, very helpful against him for that reason. But I wouldn't be too surprised if we just saw a change in the range DPS. I think that's more likely.
Yeah, we've seen Wildcard go with a couple of different drafting strategies. They're very flexible, and that's sort of a strength of Jeter's team, as well as, you know, everybody on their team being very good and very versatile in what they can pick. Pretty much the range that they seem to be planning to run is ninjas on either Ashka or Jumong, typically. And then if they prefer to play Varish, they will flex Rare Peep to the Varish and usually put ninjas on a support. Which is pretty interesting. The kid obviously has a ridiculous Ulrich, a ridiculous Sirius. He is the serious player of Battle, right? Yeah. Not just NA Battle,
not the region.
He is the guy who defined the way Sirius is played in competitive. So I would be expecting maybe we could see the sort of Wildcard triple support come out as well. I think the bans and picks will be indicative of that. If we see something like a Jumong ban early on or a Lucy ban early on, we can expect that we might be about to see a double support comp from Wildcard. They've run that before, something like Ulrich, Older, or Thorn in particular. Comps like that can be very, very strong. And their general flexibility.
Yeah, the older Ulrich that Wildcard has brought to the table in the past has pretty much always been their defining comp, and they look very good when they play it. It's just whether or not Space Station Gaming gives them a good draft to play it in. I don't really like playing it into a Croak. I don't like having older versus Croak in a game, because it's just like, it's the classic, like, you get run over if you're older versus Croak. Like, there's literally nothing you can do against Croak. So I feel like the Croak kind of solves that problem that comp brings to the table. So it's probably likely that unless we see a Croak ban, that Wildcard's going to stay away from that kind of comp.
Yeah, SSG with the first ban Ulrich, and Wildcard with the first ban Paloma. I like that as well. I feel like Bloom's Paloma is very, very good.
Yeah.
And it also enables a lot of heroes that his teammates are very good at playing. Like Jumong, like Thorn, like Rook, like Varish. You know, Paloma enables all of those, so I think Paloma is just a blanket first ban, very smart.
This first pick going to be very indicative of what angle the draft ends up going for Space Station Gaming. Of course, they're not quite as flexible as Wildcard. Wildcard, this team that we talk about, Rare Peep being flexing from range to melee sometimes. Space Station are all pretty set in their roles. And it makes it a little bit easier to draft against them and predict what they're going to play for Wildcard, which has always been a very interesting dynamic about this matchup, right?
Yep. For sure. I think the strength of Wildcard has always just been the draft, in terms of what Jeter can do. Like, I've played in-house league with this guy a bunch of times. He's so smart. Yeah, he's insane. Jeter's the smartest person from Florida I've ever interacted with, and it's not even close. Shout out NA jokes. Anyways,
we're in the NA region now, so you can make these jokes. Actually, I suppose
I can. You're right.
Reap What You Sow was from Florida. That guy was pretty smart.
Define smart.
Yeah, that's a meme only the old timers will
get. I
don't
know about that one. As a controller.
Does anybody? Oh my god. We got the pick. Space Station Gaming gonna be running it with the Jumong, okay, and Wildcard with the Bako. I wasn't too sold on the Bako, to be honest. Rare Peep, it looked like he had a pretty hard time against the Jumong of Averse. I feel like Averse is like one of those players that kind of is in Rare Peep's head. Whenever I see these two square up against each other, it seems to be favored towards Averse.
Man, I don't know. I still have faith in Rare Peep. I've seen this kid pull off such ridiculous things that I think he was kind of warming up, because we saw really hot and cold moments with him last game, where sometimes he was doing his job flawlessly, and then there were other times where he struggled a lot, especially at the beginning, sort of navigating the early Croak pressure. And I think Bako into Jumong is totally fine. I don't think it's super favored either way.
Sure.
It's really good. You can get yourself a very good start against Jumong as Bako simply by just running in and putting up the bulwark if he tries to M1. Because if you reflect a 16 damage M1 into the Jumong right at the start and then dash in to weaken him and then just follow up with the assault,
he cries.
You win a trade
Yeah.
right there. The Jumong has to bail out or his teammate has to bail him out. There's literally nothing you can do. So you can assure a pretty good start against Jumong, which can be very important. So I don't mind this pick at all. I'm still holding out for the Jeter Bako.
Yeah, you think?
We could see it. If there's a Varish pick, it will be a Jeter Bako because Rare Peep is the Varish player. Because they actually have, I think, the two best Bako players in North America on Wildcard.
Jeter and Rare Peep.
Jeter and Rare Peep are both are the two best Bako players in North America, and it's not close, I don't think.
It's so,
in my opinion, it's not close. So.
It's so cool how these two can play so many different characters, and I don't mean to say these two to exclude ninjas. All of these players on Wildcard just so versatile.
Yeah.
These guys have pretty much all played all of the different roles on a team, barring. I think,
man, the blind Croak into the blind older. That's a rough one, boys.
That's an L for Wildcard.
That's a rough one.
They see that Croak revealed, and they're like, "Damn, that is not a good look." Like I mentioned, Croak very, very good into older Crooks, as I'm sure you know.
Oh yeah, it's what an absolute nightmare to deal with as older. You know, the dude pretty much just whacks you the entire time. You can't really do anything.
Yeah.
Just sort of runs around. So I feel like Proster's dominance is just going to continue this game, at least on the back line. It's really going to be up to Rare Peep to alter his playstyle a little bit, which we already saw him do. So I feel pretty confident they can do it again. I'm still surprised by Space Station Gaming. I just don't see the synergy between the Jumong and the Croak. You know what I mean?
I think it's just raw pressure, dude. I don't think it's synergy. It's just like, we're going to be better than you.
It definitely is raw pressure. I would definitely agree with that. But I think just the nature of it, it's an interesting comp. But they seem to be having success with it. So whatever, run your fate, I guess.
I mean, Space Station Gaming are definitely the kind of team where individually they all think they are the best at their role. And there's a lot of merit to that. I mean, they won the grand finals of our LAN tournament at the end of season 1. These guys are very good. So to put them on characters they're comfortable on, where the objective is just to go and run and play your best, I think is a very good idea. And I think in some ways that's very smart of Bloom to recognize that he's playing with two people that have a lot of faith in themselves and just to give them characters they want to play. Bloom is enabling his allies through the picks to do what they are best at. And as a result, Space Station Gaming, they had a lot of success in game 1.
Yeah, it makes sense. I would definitely agree. I think it also is dependent on the map. Are we going to Blackstone Day? Is that our map?
It does look like we're on Blackstone Arena Day.
I like the Croak pick a little bit less here. I still maintain like a huge reason that Proster was able to have really good starts in the last game was manipulating the line of sight on Skyring Knight. And Blackstone Day is much more wide open, which is going to give him a little bit more room to maneuver and stealth.
Yes.
But it's going to make the flow of the game a little bit more difficult for him to predict as far as how he wants to go in on the backline. Though the backline this game is going to be naturally a lot easier to go in on. I like the older ban as well.
Yeah, I like that.
Bloom plays a very, very good older, and I like the Alicia ban too. That's been a Ninja's hero in the past, absolutely. And they're fine playing into the Jumong again, I would imagine. So getting rid of the Alicia, we're either looking at, I would assume, a Jumong or an Ashka for Ninjas.
Do you think that solves this Croak older problem, though?
No.
My next question for you, how do you go about this if you're Wildcard? What do you pick?
With Ninja's hero pool for range, I don't know. I think the most you can do is give him a slightly less bad matchup in the form of, I would say, the Ashka. Because I don't think you want Jumong older backline into a Croak. That's even worse than Jumong Lucy.
It's so rough.
It's really bad. That's two really bad matchups. And Sirius,
I was gonna say it. I should have said it.
Double support.
Damn,
okay.
I suck. I wanted to say Sirius, but I was like, no, they probably won't run Sirius older. That sounds wacky. But hey, what do I know? I'm washed up casting for a reason. These players feeling confident in their double support with older Sirius. We've seen older Ulrich, but I'm not too sure about this comp.
So I've seen them play this before. It's pretty interesting. It's an interesting solution. A lot of people would tell you that Sirius and Ulrich are like very similar, or that Ulrich is better than Sirius.
Right.
But I actually view them as almost completely different. Like Ulrich is more about sort of the consistent group play, almost in a similar way that like Oma is.
Yeah.
Where you want to be grouping up, you want to be timing each other and playing around each other properly. Whereas Sirius is much more of sort of a pick-off, very bursty hero. Of course, you can disable one person with the Petrify. You can go in with the super fair charged M1 that you can totally react to. And just do huge bursts of damage and weaken, which makes a lot of his trades pretty much unanswerable for most enemies. So the serious pick here is pretty interesting, and of course, if you haven't watched competitive battle right before, this is literally the best serious player that we've seen in competitive battle right.
I don't know, dude. I've seen Averse play Battle Right Royale. I think he's probably the best serious.
Yeah, why is Averse not playing serious?
Yeah.
Averse plays serious.
What the heck, Bloom? Why didn't you give Averse serious? He's
so
really
sad.
good at that character.
I'm depressed.
Jeter, Ninjas, and Rare Peep against Averse, Bloom, and Proster in Game 2 of our upper bracket finals. Of course, SSG, Space Station Gaming, and the Red are up 1 game. If they take this, they're going to be moving forward to the grand finals and securing at least 3.5K. $7,000 is the purse for first place, just as a reminder. So a lot of money on the line here, and to secure themselves at least 3.5 would feel pretty good if you're SSG.
It'll be interesting to see this game, how Rare Peep steps up. I think it's going to be pretty important as far as controlling this Croak and making sure you get done what you need to get done. And Blossom is an interesting solution to this. I like it more than something like a Lucy pick.
I don't know.
I don't mind it necessarily. I have a feeling that Jeter may have an opening to do a lot of damage this game.
I'm a little bit concerned for the Blossom simply because of the amount of AoEs on Wildcard, but we'll see how all that goes.
The early Petrify in Averse is huge. They can't follow up on Proster's pressure, but he goes in anyways.
Oh,
blame him. Look at it. Jeter. Older's fun.
Yep. He uses that Time Bender to get the Croak off him a little bit, and he brings Croak back, but that jump going to get him away. The double Petrify on the other 2 members of SSG is going to do work, and the orb goes to Wildcard, actually.
That's huge. SSG has lost another orb that they really should have. The Boom Bloom on Rare Peep is going to mean that he takes so much damage. Great timing on the Dance of the Dryads to weaken Ninja's mid-laser. That's huge. They took way less damage. The stun from Proster locks him down as well. Look at the amount of AoEs on the side of SSG.
Yeah, they have quite a lot on the other side. Wildcard not going to get this orb. I thought for a second they might be able to seal it, but they're now at quite an HP deficit. The older stun does land onto Averse. I thought for a second that would be huge. Unfortunately, Ninjas couldn't find that empowered M1 to hit the Jumong. He's just too slippery, Crooks.
Yeah, the Boom Bloom once again forces Jeter's space, and another Dance of the Dryads from Bloom is just going to push them back. SSG with a decent HP advantage right now, look to be setting up for this orb. This orb's so important, and Ninja swings it with his charge M1. He baits the counter as well. Ninjas has no counter, no space, and Wildcard knows it. They're just going to have to back up lest one of their teammates get killed.
All right, checking these ulti bars. Jeter and Rare Peep both sitting on a full ultimate. If we see an older stun here, we might just see a character die. We'll see if they're able to find it. Ninjas, he spaces in onto Rare Peep, but they're going to look for it here. They won't be able to find it, though. The ultimate is still channeled, but it gets no value, and the orb still goes to the red team. SSG clutching this one out.
Yeah, Bloom farmed so much energy so fast that game. The 2 Dance of the Dryads really brought them a lot of space, and reading Ninja's counter multiple times was so big. Bloom's going to go down here, but Averse and Proster have a pretty reasonable HP advantage, and there he goes. Rare Peep's going to pop. Jeter is the only one left, and he's going to be going down after this ulti as well.
No, Jeter's got this. I believe in you, Jeter.
Oh,
what
happened?
What happened, Jeter? I'm going to have to call him later. Be like, what went wrong? Why didn't you win that round for me?
He's throwing for BPL scheme.
Dude, I'm just trying to look good, Jeter. What the heck? Why can't you just do what I want? Anyways, round 1 of game 2. SSG looking very dominant. This Croak pick still looking very good, Crooks.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit. He's just been getting quite a lot done, especially against Jeter, just forcing him around. If you can force those early older spaces and he spends a lot of time like trying to keep the Croak off of him, he can't do what you want older to do in a double support comp, which is M1 the enemies to death.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have any space to get that done. Man, the early Petrifies from Ninjas to force cooldowns, though, I've been very impressed with.
Yeah, unfortunately, they stacked AoEs there, so the Quicksand couldn't capitalize, and now we see that classic problem. Older having to deal with the Croak pressure. A beautiful bulwark slowing down Proster just a little bit. They bought Jeter just a little bit of room. The Petrify, though, misses. Not going to land that R is Jeter onto Croak, and as a result, Proster just walks back towards mid, and SSG grabbed the first orb.
Yep. And in the meantime, Averse is just laying pipe right now. Look at this. They can't do anything to stop him. Just M1 after M1. Bloom going to be sitting on that ultimate momentarily. Averse goes for the M2, manages to catch Ninjas as well. Threads the bullet around Rare Peep's bulwark. Proster going to hop the wall, then back over again. He's still in. He doesn't care. I think he's got the Croak ulti online too.
He does have the Croak ulti. I'm not sure if the space is available for the series. It is, and the older ultimate is as well. A nice double Petrify too. The beam is going to do a little bit of damage, but can't help but feel like Ninjas might have gotten a little too excited with that energy spend.
Yeah, this is not looking too good for Wildcard. Jeter's in a lot of trouble. Puts up the Q, but it can't stop him from dying. Rare Peep is surely going to be next. Ninja's sitting with an okay amount of HP, but man, the AoE CC, the follow-up from Wildcard has been, or not Wildcard, SSG has been so good. And we see what happens when a Blossom just goes fully uncontested the whole time. Bloom is building so much energy. The Boom Blooms on their own force cooldowns. If you don't spend a cooldown on that Blossom Boom Bloom AoE, like you are going to eat more than a 1 second stun. It's almost a second and a half, right?
Yeah, it's pretty long.
Absolutely brutal in game losing. It's like getting Jade sniped without the damage. It's unreal.
Yeah, a lot of pressure being caused by this Croak this draft, and I think this game looks like it does, mostly because of the Croak. I think that second pick where the Croak and the Older were revealed simultaneously just put so much momentum in SSG's corner. Now we're seeing a Wildcard. They don't really have a way to deal with this. The Croak is putting out so much pressure that Averse just almost going uncontested. Wow. We see it here. 2 players being focused onto Proster, and Crooks, he's taking like no damage.
He doesn't take any damage. He's not actually getting hit at all.
Oh, as we say that.
Charged on 1 by Ninjas. Sorry.
Yeah, that does damage. And now Ninja's eating some damage in return. He's going to space in. Dance of the Dryads comes out, landing on a couple, but the last one unfortunately hits himself.
Yeah, nice bubble placement with Jeter.
Yeah, very nice bubble here, but still, I'm not sure it's enough. Is Sirius taking quite a lot of damage. Ninjas can't get away. The Venom Wind's forcing out both a space from Rare Peep and the ultimate from Older. First, getting heal botted by Bloom, but Bloom, a nice Petrify, gonna force out his space.
Oh, he nails Rare Peep with the stun, the follow-up EXM2 from Averse, while Proster is immediately going in on Jeter. Ninjas whiffs his R, unfortunately, and Jeter is spaced as well. Doesn't have energy for his ulti. Luckily, Proster gets petrified, cuts a lot of their momentum just in half.
Yeah, when that Croak is CC'd, it does so much for Wildcard. We'll see if they're able to keep it up here. The counter is not proc for Sirius, and we might see him go down here. Averse, he recognizes it and just runs in, as does Bloom, forcing the overall ultimate, but they might be able to find a kill here, Crooks. They need to kill the Bloom here. They get him. Bloom gonna go down, the Petrify gonna come out to try to slow down the roll of the Croak. Ninjas, he doesn't have that counter anymore. His space should be coming off cooldown shortly, and it's looking like Wildcard have stabilized.
What a close round. Proster whips the in-cap as well, and Wildcard have stabilized. I just can't see them coming back in this too much. I thought Ninjas would be in trouble. They're wasting his counter and then spacing over the wall.
Oh, it's scary. Okay.
Nah.
Yeah, it looked scary for a second. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but thought maybe that Sirius might be going down there.
Have you ever played as a double support comp?
Yes.
Okay. Then you would know that in 3v2s you don't die.
Dude, after seeing what Proster has been doing in this match, I don't doubt him at all. He's got that gold damage number. He is pumping out damage with quite a lot of pressure. So I don't doubt the boy. Don't doubt the boy.
2-1 in favor of SSG. And a much better played round. I feel like Ninja's got a lot more done that round. His charged M1s are going to be really, really impactful because just as a double support comp, you inherently have a little bit less damage. So being able to land that meaningful weaken and that huge swing on somebody is not only going to cut the enemy damage, but also obviously cut into their permanent HP, which is going to be really important. Ninjas gets his counter hit, which is great for a reset, and he hits Proster before he hits him with the stun, which weakens him, cutting down so much of that damage.
Yeah, look at Proster's HP pool. The Petrify coming out too. Ninja's getting a lot done this round, Crooks.
Yeah, this is looking so much better for Wildcard and Baco. Just laying into Averse right now. He's pushed all the way into the corner, but Bloom once again free to tee off as Blossom. The Gust comes out to try and protect his teammate, but Averse is sort of in the middle of things right now. Eats a boomerang from Baco as well. He's got no cooldowns. There's the Prowl right now, but he still doesn't have space available. He should about now. Ninjas goes for the kill, but doesn't time it properly, and Averse is out.
Oh god, that double ultimate from Rare Peep landing on both Averse and Proster, and then the Older ultimate stun onto Blossom immediately after. They find the kill on Averse. And man, this round, I hate to single it down to one person, but Ninjas absolutely destroyed this round. His play from the get-go was incredible. He traded favorably with Averse from distance without actually landing any damage, which is unreal. That first sequence we saw with Averse against Ninjas threw out the Petrify, of course, to force out Averse's Black Arrow. Averse got 3 charges of his M1 because of it, but then immediately after dropped the double rain of arrows, and Ninjas baited it into hitting his counter. Yeah. So much focus from Averse went on to Ninjas, and Ninjas, he just came out like scot-free with that empowered M1, and then he landed it on Proster and just did so much.
Rare Peep. Oh, pause initiated by Bloom.
Sick. This will give me more time to rant about how sick Ninjas played last game, or last round. I'm like low-key joking, but Ninjas played so well, and it's so much fun watching this kid play serious. Like, I remember back in my days of playing Battle Right, playing against his Sirius was like a thing of nightmares. This dude would just like run you down. The things he does with this character are absolutely unreal.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, Ninjas is ridiculous. Playing against him is pretty nuts. His counter reaction time, you literally think he had scripts. It's kind of disgusting.
Ninja cheats? What?
Hmm? In Fortnite?
Quicksand thrown out. Trying to slow down Froster a little bit. One of the few things that Older can do, throw down the quicksand where he thinks the Croak will land. That time it hit. First orb, gonna go to Wildcard, but now we see a huge problem for Jeter down bottom. The double rain of arrows plus Croak pressure. Croak didn't take any damage and Jeter's about down to 2/3.
Yeah, he used the Petrify on him as well, but Froster cleansed it with his camouflage. He's gonna go in for the leap, not use his second one, very smart. He's gonna go for it on Ninja, but Ninja's times the space perfectly, getting the heal on his teammate as well. Bloom is just locked all the way down here, and SSG pushed relatively far back. Wildcard have stabilized a little bit, but the HP is relatively even. Rare Peep has no bulwark, Sirius has no counter. The ulti's gonna go off, and now Bloom's just gonna open up with the Dance of the Dryads, but the double Petrify cuts all their momentum.
Yeah, very good double Petrify to slow things down there. I thought a lot more damage would be coming out onto the blue team than what did. Jeter getting that Croak running at him, but the Petrify does land. The second orb in a row, though, does go to SSG, which is pretty huge just in terms of momentum. Look at how they're playing now.
Man, when this double support comp gets on top of you, it's absolute chaos to play against. So that's a huge chunk into Rare Peep with that Croak ulti, a disgusting amount of damage. The follow-up here, look at that AoE armor, though. It's so difficult to crack that much healing. Any other comp would have died to burst like that.
Oh, Averse with that big double ulti getting so much damage out. Cleaning up this round for his team. Very well played, though, from Froster early on. Froster, rather. Got so much pressure out onto Jeter, and, you know, rightly so. We see him finishing off the man here. Jeter's got nowhere to go from that Croak, and across the map, Averse going to land that M2.
Yeah, it's so important for Froster to get good starts, and if SSG is able to enable him and allow him to get a decent chunk onto Jeter, especially early in the game, it just leads to such good things. The orb advantage going pretty heavily to SSG too, and the energy there is important. Bloom's Dance of the Dryads can create just huge spaces to do meaningful sticking damage to Wildcard. And then Froster, of course, had a huge Croak ulti as well.
Yeah, that big Croak ultimate. And it's like you talked about last game. You don't see too many Croaks spamming that ultimate, but Froster is seemingly always finding value with his. One of the things that separates him from the rest and makes him one of the best of the best.
Not a great start for him, though, getting absolutely whacked to death by the Sirius and the Baco. Decent stop by Rare Peep, but now SSG have regrouped. The Bulwark stun onto Froster, into the Petrify as well. They've completely neutralized the Croak, and now they're going to collapse on Bloom. He's used the space. Luckily, they don't have energy for too much other follow-up as he incaps Averse. It should be Wildcard's orb, but SSG steals it.
SSG getting that first orb. The HP pool's very equal. Petrify going to land on the Croak, slow things down a little bit, and an incap going to follow it up, but it's immediately broken after by Rare Peep. A little bit of a mistake that might cost his older his life. Jeter has to play so far back now.
Two petrified in the setup comes from Sirius, the incap as well. Froster hits the Croak ulti, bursts Ninjas as well. He's caught in the Boom Bloom stun too. He's locked down for a century as Froster just following up with massive M1s. And this is where you want to be as Jumong. Your melee is taking all the space and you can just tee off. He's just harassing Jeter. Jeter uses space. Froster's on him. The Older's dead. Bloom could get return killed as well, but they force Ninjas to space. Bloom is going to go down. They have a pretty substantial HP advantage, but they don't want to let Wildcard stabilize. He's done. See ya.
That Venom Wind is applied. They both know the counter is available in Averse and Froster are just like, nope. Cool guys don't look at explosions. They turn around and walk away from Ninjas and let him die. Rare Peep, he's got a full bar of energy. Might be able to find a kill on Averse if he lands it, but, you know, Averse, he's got 2 bars of energy himself. He has Prowl, he has double Black Arrow. It's going to be very difficult to find this opening onto the Jumong.
Jumong just has too many outs. Like, Bako's such a good duelist, but it's just going to be so difficult. Oh, you're kidding me.
Eat your words, kid! Rare Peep going in and finding the kill, but I don't know if he'll be able to get away from Froster. This is so scary. He gets a green shard, but still, this is so hard for him. He doesn't have a way to get away from Froster. Froster going to clutch that one out for his team.
And I'm getting
I mean, you got to give it to Rare Peep, though. That was absolutely incredible that he was able to get that kill. You talked about how mobile Jumong is and how many outs he has. You're not even wrong. And that's what makes what just happened so crazy. In no world should Rare Peep have been able to find that kill, but Averse gets taken down.
I feel like he should have had a second space available for that, but maybe it was on the slight cooldown you have in between the 2 spaces on Jumong. I'm not entirely sure what happened. I was pretty sure he had 3 stacks. He should have been able to make it out of that. Maybe he just wasn't fast enough, but that's not something you usually see from Averse.
Repeat, maybe feeling himself a little bit going in. That Petrify going to force out both the Hawk and the Prowl. Big opening here for Ninjas and Co. We'll see if they're able to get anything from it. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to, actually.
Yeah, as Ninjas and Rare P both collapse on Averse, but here comes Proster with a decent amount of damage. Averse still surviving right now. He has both spaces used, though, as Ninjas collapses on him and executes him with the charge down one.
Did you see what they just did to Bloom? Bloom just got chain CC'd for so long, not giving him any time to help out Averse. Proster recognizes it's over, saying, let's move on to the next round. But wow, that was just beautiful team play from Wildcard, not letting Bloom help out Averse at all. And, you know, Averse, he just prowled, he used both of his black arrows, and then he died.
The ability to disable a pretty immobile support like Blossom is really quite scary on the side of SSG. If he's caught by a Petrify, the follow-up that can happen there, either from the in-cap or just the raw damage contributed by Older, can be absolutely disgusting, and that's something you've got to watch out for. Though Averse, like you said, did use his escapes a little bit liberally early on. He's got to be careful about that, and I think it's not so much about him playing aggressive, it's so much more about Proster's aggression and what he can do off the back of that. Nice dismount on the Ninja, or Ninjas. Wrong game.
Oh, wow. Ninja's taking quite a lot of damage here. He spaces over to the Older to try to get himself to safety, but now, you know, Wildcard, they found themselves in a corner where they don't really want to be. We'll see if they can punish Proster for trying to engage, but they can't. The Frog Leap's going to get him out, and the Orb goes to SSG. SSG, though, they are at a small HP disadvantage, Crooks.
Yeah, the way Proster played that was really nice. When they reset for the Orb, he went immediately in the backline to Brass Cheater, and now Ninja's pushed back so far by the Boom Boom. Proster is just taking his free damage. This stun, we're going to be seeing a Croak ult soon, I imagine. Rare Peep cancels it with a stomp and doesn't get hit by it. This is pretty bad news. Nice iframe from Bloom. Hits the serious counter, allowing them to disengage, but Proster's going to want to go back in. Jeter has no space. He's in a lot of trouble right now. Look at Averse, has the fire in his eyes right now. Jeter has no space, and he's dead. Yeah,
Jeter had just had nowhere to go. The rate of arrows slowing him down, plus the Croak pressure being finished off by Bloom. Truly a team effort to take down the Older there. And now going to fall soon after is Ninjas. Rare Peep, he's all that's left, but he's got nothing left in the tank. 2-0 is the match score, and SSG going to move on to the grand finals.
You know, I will confess, this is not the way I thought this was going to go.
I didn't think so either.
I kind of thought Wildcard was going to show their strength. They've had pretty favorable matchups into SSG pretty much after Season 1 of BPL. They've shown that they're probably the strongest team we had in NA, but this was a pretty resounding victory. This Croak pick seemed completely unanswered from the side of Wildcard, which is very strange because I felt like, especially the second game, they had what I considered to be answers for it. But something about the way the Baco is working with the backline seems to not always be a sure thing. And and also credit to Proster, he played phenomenal.
He played sick,
right? He played sick. He was playing the line of sight very, very well. If you're a new player, it's something that you can really understand. I think something that goes really underrated from people watching Battle Right is watching like the way these players move and the way these players interact with the map. And I think the way Proster moves around the map and the way he uses space is really just a, you know, absolute class in how to do it.